June 22nd, 2016 OMU Commissioners Meeting.
Pray with me. Father God, we thank you for the opportunity to get together today, do the business of this utility. We thank you for the blessings that we've received, the warm weather, electric sales up. We ask for your wisdom and your guidance as we do the business for the citizens of this community. We ask you to watch over and bless our employees, keep them safe, help them to return home every night to those that love them and their friends. We ask you, Father, to protect those who serve in the military, especially those overseas who face evil every day. We ask this in your name. Amen. Will you
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, I hope it's going to be a relatively short meeting. A lot of agenda items. The first one, Mr. Chairman, unfortunately, I have to fess up. I was not able to get to this morning to return from the meetings and conferences. So you will, we'll put it on for the next that's our review. I would ask you to look at the performance metrics that you've approved for me for this upcoming fiscal year. Those track each of the goals and objectives in the strategic plan. So
June 22nd, 2016 OMU Commissioners Meeting.
Some aspect of the strategic plan, and you can actually see that in the write-up in each of the ways it's structured. So customer satisfaction is there, and then there's metrics under that. So I'd ask you to take a look at that in preparation for that. Next item is the consent agenda.
Motion approved.
Second. All those in favor say aye.
I just had
I'm sorry.
Are there any discussion? With that I'm against, but I would like to have a little information on a couple of things under C24.
C24.
It's the portable traffic system. I'm not against that, but don't understand it completely. So, and also, I just wondered if the city put up all those 14 intersections with all different poles, did they ever communicate with us that would be a problem and might cost us $850,000 or something to stockpile all these different poles or something? Was there a communication gap there? What's it all about, I guess? I just want a little more information if I could.
The first item is the portable system. We've been discussing this with the city for quite some time. We do have a lot of decorative poles downtown. We do not keep them in inventory or stock, either the size or nation. So if an accident was to happen down there, it's much more convenient for us to go out there and place a portable system in. Also, we have some intersections that are high traffic volume that might take us, due to the nature of catastrophic events where a truck takes a pole down, it might take us a few days to be able to get the concrete and everything back in check. So it's very, instead of going down and having to set a wood pole in place temporarily, we felt like it's much more feasible for us to have this in place. And then there's also places where our crews might be working, that we might want to set a temporary moving around there, either there or with the city.
Is this like a stoplight on a trailer?
Yeah, it's just a trailer, it's a stoplight, the battery powers on it, and you set it up, in no time.
Right.
That is that. Now, the rest of the issue of the poles that we're keeping, that we have to keep in stock, what happened was these are traffic light poles that have been for numerous years, and they are failing. They've had fatigue cracks that are building up on them. And we worked out an agreement with the city probably, I'm going to say about 7 or 8 years ago, that we would replace these as these fatigue cracks started to develop. So what we're doing is we're just sizing those poles to meet the new standards. a lot of this came about after the tornado in 2000, and we started seeing some key cracks.
But the decorative poles in the intersection downtown, can you actually replace those if one does get
Oh,
knocked out?
yes, but what we don't, sometimes the bolt pattern might be a little bit different, and some of those poles, and we don't want to maintain that level of stock, so that's why we put the.
But you could order one yourself.
Yeah, we'll order one and get it in just in.
Oh, okay.
And typically, Belmont has them fairly close to stock, so it's maybe a 2 to 4 week process.
And that's charged back to the city.
Oh, yes, through the pop, through the pop.
But did the city ever communicate with us about putting in all different kinds of poles everywhere? It'd been nice if all the poles were about the same, so.
Well,
rather than 14
we
different
tried,
sizes.
we tried to consolidate those as best we can. However, the biggest issue that we have is the Hapco poles that were discussed. Those were put in many years ago, and then we started changing those out to the newer poles. And some of those bases had to be formatted in different ways. And in some places, we're trying to format it where we'll have 2 different intersections rather than just have.
So there were some
minimized
discussions
poles.
with the city though about,
Oh, yes.
there were some communication, okay.
There's been tons of communication with the city.
They just put up one of those lights and said,
Come-
y'all
come
fix
as
it,
well.
y'all fix it later on, you know.
Well, I think actually OMU offered a few choices for them to go through.
Okay.
Wasn't unlimited.
Old
And this was an item that was addressed in our MOU with the city. And we do coordinate as much as possible on the lead pole replacements. Some of the older poles were actually installed, as I understand, by the state. They were state poles, and we've kind of picked up the maintenance of those, and they're the ones that are failing.
But then the new ones downtown, the decorative, those are all unique in some fashion, right?
The bolt pattern is similar on all of them. What you get into is some of them may have 2 sets of lights on them, or it depends on the arm length and to the dimensions. We had to physically set those poles off those intersections. That does vary some.
Yeah, there was, the ones that had the stress fractures, I mean, that was, actually, we went back and tried to get the manufacturer to stand by it. They were kind of like bell reps, so there was no recourse there. And the state would not let us repair them.
Right.
Yeah, so the state pretty much forced us to change those out, so we really were at their mercy. So,
Thank you. The other question I had was on the Century League, upgrade, gigabit upgrade. It sounds like we approved that, and then once we started implementing it, we found out it wasn't what we thought we were buying or something. And so.
Yeah, let me explain that,
And I just,
because it was a surprise to me. There's really only 3 physical telecom networks in this area: Time Warner Cable, Windstream, and AT&T. So CenturyLink delivers us services today and has done that for some time, and they are currently riding AT&T's physical network. So when I requested our current service to be upgraded, and they provided me that pricing, I said, great, let's move forward and get it done, because it didn't extend the term of our contract. It made a lot of sense. After we had executed the agreement, obtained approval and all that, I happened to be listening in on one of the implementation calls, and one of the coordinators had mentioned issuing orders to Windstream. And I said, well, hold on. What are you talking about issuing orders to Windstream? Well, that's the carrier that we're going to provision this underlying service on. I said, well, we're on AT&T today. What are you talking about moving us to Windstream? That wouldn't be upgrading the current service. Well, AT&T's at capacity, blah, 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 blah. So in order for us to meet this pricing, we'd have to do this on the Windstream physical network. And I said, well, that would defeat the entire purpose of putting the circuit in, because we need redundancy for the Windstream network. And they said, well, we're going to have to go back and take a look at it again and try to get some new pricing from AT&T to meet what you're requesting. And that is what happened here.
so it's a redundancy to back up what was not.
Exactly. The issues that we were having with that current provider that I had mentioned during my last presentation has all been around some issues with Windstream. In order to ensure that we don't have those problems, we want a redundant service that has equivalent speed, but it's also physically separate from that network.
And they said they wouldn't stay with the amount that they had budgeted, that we had budgeted for that.
It would cost them that much more to go to AT&T, which honestly is one of the reasons why we didn't just upgrade our AT&T service.
Shouldn't that be
we
their
have
problem if they approved, if they gave us a bid and, huh? Not really?
Well, they didn't. I mean, they hadn't executed the agreement on their end, I guess, at that point. I mean,
It's amazing how when you burrow down into these things, you find some nasty surprises, like something's coming across the river in one trench or something like that, or
it's,
I know we need the service and all that.
And we need the redundancy.
First of all, I'm glad we found it out at the time that we did and not expect it to be redundant and then have both of those circuits go down at the same time. But also, this service will be going back up for bid in 2017. So this is really just taking us through the end of our current term, and then we'll see what we can do to get better pricing and faster speeds.
Okay, well, thanks for the explanation.
And I apologize for that confusion up front. Again, that was an assumption on my part. I'll take full blame for that. Of we're upgrading an existing service. I assumed it would be staying on that current network provider, and until they got into that implementation.
Just anything that goes above budget, you know, we're trying to make it so we can pay our employees a little bit. So just everything we can do.
so is that additional 21,000 passed on in rates?
It's not passed on in rates, no. No,
Our rates are remaining the same, so we're not moving the rates up.
I will make it up in other ways.
We will absorb that, and Chris will sell a lot more commercial service.
Promise you, you'll be happy. It's my goal here.
Okay.
No, it's good.
So anyway, but I didn't vote, I guess I vote yes on all those things as far as if you called for a vote, I don't know if you called for a vote.
Oh, no, I was by accident. It was my fault,
Okay.
sorry. Now I'll call for the vote again. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
All right. Next item is the performance reports. So, General Manager's report, and I apologize again for the confusion on this. I'm just not as, I rely on Brittany for a lot of this stuff. When she's out, I can get lucky in second string, or third string in my case, so. Okay, a number of us attended the APPA annual meeting in Phoenix. Some really good information out there. What I found most interesting and most applicable is the renewable energy, distributed energy integration into the grids and the rate aspects of that. We are going to continue to see across the country solar arrays put on top of homes, distributed generation in the form of small self-generators, things like that, battery storage systems in homes. We need to be prepared for that, and so the APPA is doing a lot of work on trying to look at what's happened across the U.S. With investor-owned utilities, as well as research work that's being done by the Electric Power Research Institute, and disseminating that information out to help us as we try to evaluate how it's going to impact our systems. Second item I have up here, I wanted to let you know that we did issue what we term force majeure notices to all 4 of our coal suppliers. You'll recall that our coal supply agreements have maximums and minimums in them. We're able to nominate up and down the volumes as long as we don't go below the minimums each year for the following year of these 3-year contracts. The generation levels at Elmer Smith and market prices have been so low that we are anticipating not needing as much coal as even the minimum level under the 4 contracts. And so what the force majeure notice allows us to do is to no longer be bound by that minimum level. If we nominate below the minimum level, what happens in regular contracts is that the suppliers are able to deliver the shortfall in tons during the next 6 months of the following calendar year. But we don't need that coal, because we're not going to burn it. And so what the force majeure allows us to do is to not receive any of those excess tons that were originally in the contract. So this is a good level of flexibility we have in our contracts, and so far none of the suppliers have provided any negative feedback. I think they're experiencing the same phenomenon with a lot of their other customers as well. Our coal inventory levels are pretty high right now, and we do have what I'd call advantage coal pricing. We negotiated very low coal pricing. But we physically have a limitation on the amount of coal that we can store to maintain safe operations out there. Because we have tractors that are running on it, they have to go up and down to keep it compacted and groomed. And if the slopes get too steep, that creates a safety issue for us. So I feel like we've now got that under control with this work.
Is there, that they can push back, right? So this doesn't qualify as force majeure?
They could always make that contention, but we have not heard that from them. We feel like we're on very firm ground to defend that claim if they did. Number 3, May was a abnormally cool month, 3 degrees below zero. Doesn't sound like a lot, but that's a lot when you're talking about air conditioning load. So retail sales were actually about 11% below budget for the month. We end up the year at 4% below budget. Wholesale power sales 36% below budget. And we finished up the year about 36%, with gross margins finishing 38% below budget at $13.2 million versus a budget, a wholesale budget of $21.4 million. Good thing is we're starting off June warm, so loads have been up a little bit, but power prices have been moderate, very moderate. With, as you'll see, Rob will probably show you, the off-peak prices have been very, very weak, which have been requiring us to continue to cycle the units down to ultra-low minimum levels in order to avoid negative cash flow during those periods. Number 4, we participated in the Western Kentucky Regional Blood Center's annual blood drive, and we compete against several of the other utilities. We ended up with 30 pints this year, which is a little bit more than last year. And haven't heard the standings yet about whether we beat Kennergy or not. We'll see. We did close on the sale of the water refunding bonds on June 8th. It was $6.59 million, and we ended up with a total interest cost of 2.83%, which is probably the lowest rate of any financing that we've ever achieved at OMU. So we hit the market just right with that refunding. And then just a point of trivia, which I find interesting, is that Elmer Smith generation was 1.1 million megawatt hours versus a budget of 1.74, but that's the lowest generation level we've had at the plant since 1991. So, John, were you around in 91?
Yep.
Was there big outage? Were there big outages that year? Do you remember?
Unit 2 was limited on capacity up through July because we had an air handler that burned up in December of 90.
Yeah.
So we had to rebuild that, so that was probably the biggest problem.
Yeah. So it's been a long time since the generation's been that low at the plant.
I know that by heart because that was my first job when I got there. The question was, what do you know about air handlers?
What do you attribute that to, mostly? Just the weather, or LED light bulbs, or
Low prices.
conservation by people?
Very low wholesale prices driven by low gas prices and abnormally cool weather and warm winters. So, maybe we are starting to see the long-term impacts of climate change in our weather patterns. We don't know, but it certainly has been warmer in the winters. Fortunately, it's been cooler in the summers too. So there's a theory that says as the environment heats up, it's going to carry more and more water vapor. Water vapor creates a mirror effect to reject ultraviolet rays back into space that don't get trapped And so that could be why we're seeing some of the cooling in the summer. So there's all kinds of theories out there.
That's a theory.
That's a pure theory.
Not all agreed.
Pure theory. So unless you have any other questions, we'll move on to the financial report.
The consolidated electric system net income for the year is 4.7% below budget like Gary mentioned. I do want to mention that the gave you 68 pension adjustment is included in that. Last year, it went to our favor and reduced expenses. This year, it went the other way and increased expenses. But they're about the same amount. We're down 800,000 last year, we're up 800,000 this year. So if we didn't have to book that adjustment for the pension expense, we would have been 2.6% better than budget.
Did we put that over the years?
No, we don't get our numbers from the KRS until like 2 weeks ago.
It would seem like we were favorable, then all of a sudden.
We don't have any idea what that number's gonna be. And they do an actual study, and it's based on, I guess, June 30th last year's numbers. So it takes them a while.
Okay.
This is one of those last minute surprises that we have no control over.
Yeah.
And as I've said to you before, I mean, this is a non-cash item, so, you know, it's really kind of immaterial. It has to be shown on our balance sheet because it's GASB, but it really doesn't affect our cash position.
So, anyway, the retail system, the megawatt hour sales were 6.6% below budget for the month. And then the actual fiscal year to date performance without the ECA adjustment, we were at 5.8, we were down 5.8% below budget. On the wholesale system, for the month of megawatt hour sales were 62.2% below budget. And fiscal year to date, on the net income, we're down 107.5%. On the telecommunications, we were 125,000 better than budget. On the water system, we were 294,000 better than budget, which also includes the gas 68 pension expense adjustment of 175,000. So we would have been 469,000 better than budget in net income. We think all the adjustments are in here for fiscal year end. There might be a couple more audit adjustments as we go forward, but this is pretty close.
One question for you commissioners is that the year-end financials will be completed sometime this week, early next week. We, on our schedule that we lay out for you at the beginning of each year, the 3-year schedule, we show that the July work session is a work session in which we review the yearly financials. That would be on July the 7th. And that's the only item that we have. And we're glad to have a special meeting to discuss that with you, or we can move it to the regular July meeting. Last year, we moved it to the regular July meeting, but it's certainly your choice on what you want to do.
Depends on what's on the regular meeting. How lengthy would that regular agenda be?
No, there's not nothing significant, nothing real significant.
I think that would be we don't need to get it sent to us when it's prepared.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
We'll move it, right?
Yeah, so we will not have a work session in July. Now, in August, we will, because we always do our regulatory update in August at the work session.
And then, since you're planning these stations, when are we gonna get some kind of update on the design of the water plant? Are they in schematic phase, what phase?
They have not, they are working. I have not gotten an update in the last 2 weeks since I've been kind of out of town and tied up. I know Pat's been working on getting a contract finalized.
The contract was sent to them over a week
So
ago.
they're not in any of the design phase till they
No,
just
probably not.
My understanding is they are working. They have been working without the contract so that they can maintain the schedule. So we'll get an update to you, and I'll send an update out to you by email to let you know.
I feel it's important that the commission see it in the schematic phase, which is when a lot of the decisions are being made. So we could have input, as to how the process is working, so we understand the processes.
Like what you asked.
Whatever.
We are actually going to have a presentation on that issue at one of our, probably at the July commission meeting.
Who's going to do the presentation?
No, we're going to have one of the guys from the engineering firm who's done a bunch of research on this for you, come in and give you both sides of the story on the pros and cons, economics, risk, everything. We planned to do it this month, but we moved the meeting to this week because of the APPA meeting. So. All right, the next item, Mr. Chairman, are the governance items. I went through these 4 governance items and rated them all as being in compliance. I didn't see anything that we were out of compliance with. We don't have any policy review and development items for today. And the last item we have in open session is the general manager performance evaluation, which is your item, Mr. Chairman.
We did use the same format that we used last year. Thanks for all y'all preparing y'all's early, so we're ready to prepare the summary version that you see here in front of you. See that our general manager did a very good review. And we'll thank him and all the other people who had input on this. And questions, do we pass this?
You don't.
We just review this, right?
Yeah, let's review it.
Anyone have any questions or statements they'd like to make?
I just want to reiterate what, you get down to the overall performance and fine job and maybe stuff.
Well, I appreciate the confidence that you have in me to perform this, and I have to say that, my success is driven by mostly the people at this table. We have a great team here at OMU, very professional. We've come a long way in really moving our culture to one that really values continuous improvement, and we're starting to see that in our day-to-day processes. Again, I appreciate your confidence and thank you for the good evaluation.
And I'm glad the city of Austin overlooked some of the.
Yeah, that's obvious flaws.
I agree very much, and I do agree with what you said about the other employees, and I appreciate all the efforts too. In this very difficult economic times for us, but you do a real challenge.
All right. With that, I don't have anything else. This is a special meeting, and so we really can't take up any other items. We'll move into closed session. Closed session, I need a motion to go into closed session, discuss personnel matters pursuant to KRS 61810-1F, pending litigation pursuant to KRS 61810-1C, and matters which are required to be discussed in privacy pursuant to KRS 61810-1K, including but not limited to KRS 61878-1C sub I and KRS 61872 sub 6.
Motion. Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.